We're not loud enough, and I don't know if you can tell from where you are, because sometimes I have, what's his name? Yeah, like he'll text me during the meeting. Yeah, pass it down. Yeah. Thank you. Let's turn on the microphone. Good evening. I will now call the Camp Hill Borough Council meeting to order. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay, Sarah, will you please take the roll?
Thomas Fink. Here. Michelle Forbes.
Here.
Rich Forsman.
Here.
Tim Jackson. Here. Luis Silasova. Here. Kevin Mock. Here. Tia Wolf. Here. Alexandra Jackson.
Okay, thank you very much. At this time, we'll open our first period of public comment. If you would like to make a comment, You may come to the podium, state your name and address. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes during our periods of public comment, and I'm asking the solicitor to help us keep time to make sure that we are keeping to the 3-minute rule. And I'd like to remind everyone that the public comment period is a time for council to listen only. We don't go back and forth, but we are happy to hear what you have to say. Okay.
Mark Hoover, 20 South 24th Street. Believe it or not, I'm not your enemy. I didn't vote for most of you guys, but I'm not your enemy. You do a great job. I have no complaints. In general, I know it's a thankless job. I know you've got a tremendous amount of stuff. I saw that packet you had to absorb, 124 pages, whatever it is. God help you. So, but on this issue of the what I call Sanctuary City Welcoming Ordinance, which is something you guys have expressed a great interest and probability of wanting to put through, and this little ordinance change is the first step towards that. I'm assuming there's other things to follow. I'm asking you to keep one thing in mind. You guys were elected to represent the citizens of this borough. There's 9 of you, I think. I don't know your political affiliation. I think most of you are Democrats, but that's irrelevant at this point. This is a contentious issue. This is something that affects everybody. This is not something that was on the campaign agenda if you had one. This is something that should be just have in a referendum. The citizens should decide this. This should be written up as a referendum. I don't want to see people acting like little kings and queens and putting your personal choice on this issue. This is something that if you recognize the contentiousness of it, you recognize the impact on the community, you say, you're Democrats? Well, be Democratic. Allow the people to vote for this directly. Do not make it a majority of 7, 8, or 9 people saying, this is what we're going to impose on this community. Let the community decide if that's what they want. That's what I'm asking you to do. Now, I've had people tell me there's no way. You guys are just going to do whatever you're going to do. Okay, I've seen that before in school board. I've been around. Okay, prove me wrong. Go ahead and put this on a referendum if you feel compelled to do it. If you feel the merits are there, people will vote for it. If the merits aren't there, then why are you going to put it out? Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Paul Lewis, Country Club Road. Thank you for your time. I'm here to speak about the same thing. Again, I am a resident here, and all of you were elected to represent all of us, regardless. Well, I know what all of your political affiliations are, but as that gentleman said, it doesn't matter. I guess one of the reasons is why bring this up? We already have an anti-discrimination ordinance in Camp Hill. You're inserting language on English language proficiency and immigration status to enjoy the full benefits of citizenship. Anybody that's taken a high school law class knows you do not get the full benefits of citizenship unless you're a United States citizen. That is the bedrock of our constitutional republic, okay? Second of all, I've talked to a couple of attorneys on this, and I've also researched 8 U.S. code that basically says a lot of this stuff only applies to employers, because you talk about the fostering of employment for all, okay? Well, first of all, a lot of this stuff in the Immigration, Customs, and Naturalization Code and the Department of Justice Code only applies to employers with more than 4 employees. Don't know if anybody's researched that, okay? If we're putting out the welcome mat and trying to put things like this, what you're doing is you're slamming the door on a lot of potential businesses that may want to do business at Camp Hill, or businesses that would be glad to hop right across the border into Lower Allen Township or Hamden Township. Okay, that is not something that will foster small business development growth in Camp Hill. I just don't understand why we're doing this, or why this is being proposed, where it says, you know, the council desires to amend Chapter 24 of the Borough Code to add immigration status. Why should that even brought up? Everybody knows, regardless of what you want to read in the media or with activist groups, is if you're not here as a legal resident, a U.S. citizen, somebody who has gone through the proper channels to get a visa, okay, or claim asylum through the proper channels, you're illegal, okay? You may not like to hear that term, but that's a fact. You can parlance it any way you want, but it's a fact. But you're trying to give the exact same privileges that a lot of people in this borough fought and died for in the military to people that are here, that could be here illegally. So I don't understand why we're trying to insert this, because for people that are here with visas, okay, or who are legal asylum seekers, you're actually penalizing them by potentially giving somebody with illegal immigration status. Okay, all right.
Lawrence Spilker, 18 South 29th Street. He just mentioned a word that I hadn't thought about. Now, of course, that is one word, and it's in the statement of purpose there. That's, I think, really what we need is the rights and the benefits of a person being here, as in the 14th Amendment, as in the Constitution, where a person is protected by certain rights that are granted by the Constitution, and it's not limited to citizenship. I think that's a word that sneaked in there incorrectly.
Lisa Black, 915 Country Club. Good evening.
I'm sorry, could you speak up a little louder?
Sorry, Lisa Black, 915 Country Club. I'm not here to address the speeding chief, I swear, but it's still happening. I'm actually here to address something that I believe came up at the conclusion of the last safety meeting in regards to what everybody's been speaking about. Unfortunately, I was not present at that meeting, or I would have addressed it promptly that day. It's my understanding that after the meeting concluded, a board member directly conversed with my husband and informed him that he was privileged. While I believe the word was used to shame or embarrass him, I want to speak to this privilege. My husband served 27 years in the military. That includes 2 foreign wars. He is privileged, but not in the way it was meant. It's a privilege to serve our country. It is a privilege to come home alive. It is a privilege to come home with your limbs still intact. He served to protect the rights of all American citizens, including those with whom he may disagree. So he values that ability that we, as Americans, have to speak freely and have differing opinions. So in response to the word privileged flung at him, I would like to remind council members that it is your privilege to speak freely and openly because of the sacrifice of the men and women who have served and continue to do so. I would respectfully ask that council members try to remember that they are elected officials, and trying to shame a citizen of our community has no place here. Thank you.
Good evening. Charles Sowell, 915 Country Club Road. I went to the public safety meeting last week or the week before. I wanted to start by saying a big thank you to Mr. Jackson, who led the meeting and has led other meetings through one of the most contentious issues confronting us today. I applaud all of the council members for the way that you've approached this issue with the public. In that meeting, there was a council member in the audience, and we kind of got into it a little bit ourselves, and I regret the way that I interacted, but I think we fixed that at the end of the meeting, which is always a good thing. The interesting thing that I thought came out of that, though, was while we were, I would say, maybe diametrically opposed on what we wanted to see in some of the words that we used, we were really, really close on the principles of what the amendment would do. For example, and one other note, I think it helps if we're really clear about saying what we intend and what we want to do. For example, if we don't want to participate with the federal government on the 287G program, I think we say that. We don't cover it with language that says we don't want to cooperate or support. We say what we want to do. And again, at the end of the day, I think we were closer together on principle than we were apart. And Mr. Jackson, you oversaw that process and all of the back and forth, and I commend you for that, and thanks for your leadership in particular. One of the things that I would ask from the council is, some of us in the community have backgrounds that you may not know. For example, I have very close friendships and relationships with the leadership of ICE, with the leadership of CBP, with White House personnel. And when I hear the agencies and the people that I know that I'm friends with talked about using certain words, it's not helpful to getting at the community level what I think all of us as citizens are trying to do: keep the community safe and work together as a community. So I just ask that we tone the language down a little bit, show a little bit more respect. And again, I thank the committee, I thank the council and the leadership that you guys have all displayed. Thank you. And speeding is still a problem on Country Club. Thanks. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Laura Conrad, 809 Conoduinet Drive, Conodoguinet. So I retired last year. I served 20 years with the Commonwealth in a legislative capacity. My last role was the legislative director for one of the state agencies. So I read through this ordinance with those eyes, and there's a lot of things that are not clear here. And what I would encourage you is to slow this process down. I know what it's like to want to introduce a piece of legislation and you know who's going to be opposing it, you know who's going to be okay with it, but trying to work with both groups to get as many people in a position where they will vote yes on it. And I know that takes a skill and an expertise. I know your intentions are good in this area. You want to keep the community safe and you want to protect the taxpayers. But I would just ask that you slow this process down to include more voices in the process, and let's work together to come up with something that we can all be proud of in the end, and you can get the community support. One thing I thought of is maybe on the website have a common questions page, because people are coming to me asking me questions, and so maybe that's something you could, like a Q&A, to address some of the common misconceptions or myths, or just to help people have a better understanding of the process and what you're working on. So that's my input.
Hi, I'm Bethany Constant. I am at 2300 Kent Street. All members of our community, no matter their citizenship, immigration status, or English language proficiency, deserve to be treated with dignity. I respectfully ask the borough to adopt an expanded anti-discrimination provision in the Camp Hill Borough Code that prohibits the unfair treatment based on citizenship, immigration status, or English language proficiency. Discrimination on these grounds, or even the perception of these characteristics, creates unnecessary barriers and undermines the basic values of fairness and equal opportunity in employment, housing, and access to public accommodations. More than half of immigrants with limited English proficiency report experiencing workplace discrimination, including unequal pay, being passed over promotions or harassment. In addition, a person's accent or English proficiency should not be used to justify negative employment decisions unless it prevents them from performing essential duties of their job. Everyone in our community deserves the security of a safe and stable home. While the Federal Fair Housing Act protects residents regardless of immigration status, it's important to make these protections explicit at the local or state level to strengthen enforcement and increase public awareness. Discrimination based on citizenship or immigration status often shows up through unfair screening practices, intimidation, or threats to report someone to federal authorities, tactics that are used to pressure tenants into paying higher rents, living with unsafe conditions, or accepting unlawful evictions. Limiting housing opportunities based on English proficiency is also a serious barrier to access that can function as a stand-in for discrimination based on national origin. Everyone should have equal access to public accommodations, including restaurants, retail, and government services. Adding clear anti-discrimination language about citizenship, immigration status, and English language to our local code is an important step. Discrimination of any kind weakens the welcoming character of our community. Lastly, the term illegal immigrants reflects a misunderstanding of immigration status. Most immigration violations are civil matters rather than criminal offenses. While unlawful entry may constitute a federal misdemeanor, the vast majority of immigration enforcement is conducted through civil removal proceedings rather than criminal prosecution. The Fifth and 14th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution protect all persons.
Thank you. David Still, Apple Tree Road. Remembered this time. I've heard the 14th Amendment twice. Does anybody know what the 14th Amendment was for? Anybody? It was to ensure that children of slaves were granted citizenship after slavery was abolished. That's what the 14th Amendment was for. Has nothing to do with illegal immigration. There's not much, but one of the positive things about being older is a firsthand knowledge and clear view of history that provides a balanced perspective of current events. People who entered the U.S. illegally, by definition, have broken the law. The administration provides an off-ramp for those who entered the U.S. illegally to self-deport, providing free travel back to their country of origin, and I believe it's $1,000 to assist with short-term expenses. They can then have the opportunity to re-enter the U.S. legally and assimilate into our communities. However, those who entered illegally or legally and choose to live a culture of criminal activity and violence, whether in their country of origin or in the U.S., should not be shielded by politics or ordinance. As a lifetime citizen of the U.S., I cannot indulge in illegal activity without consequence, apprehension, and prosecution. Why should those who entered illegally enjoy benefits not available to me? If selective enforcement of the law is encouraged and abided, selective enforcement, then why apprehend residents who run through stop signs, refuse to yield at on-ramps, blatantly run through red lights, speed on the highways, or decide to physically harm or steal from others? Selective enforcement of the law means there is no law at all. I would not want to be the one to explain to a Camp Hill family that experienced harm or worse that the event could have been avoided with intra-law enforcement cooperation. Thank you.
Lawrence Spilker again. I know that civil rights laws are here not to give a preference to certain people or to give some people a benefit that others don't have, but on the other hand, to give everyone the same benefits that we have as white male Americans. Okay? All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi there, Steve Knob, 120 South 31st Street is my address. I'm going to say something really brief first. I like to visit the safety committee, but I don't often because of work. But I'd really like to see us adopt something with Vision Zero, not single out certain elements within traffic, but have a broad view that works to have traffic injuries and deaths approach zero. And so I think infrastructure, enforcement, all those things in combination get us there. Now, the other part, I didn't come up here to give a history lesson, but I think it maybe is needed. The 14th Amendment was not simply used for that. It was recently used by the Supreme Court to grant corporate personhood in the form of the Citizens United ruling that's pumping endless dark money into our political system. It is multi-use. It is not simply for the children of slaves. The law changes over time. There were points in time when interracial marriage was illegal. Native American citizenship, what year? 1924. 150 years it took for them to get citizenship? Come on. The law is the law, and we can use our brains to see when things should change and when we should do things differently. And nothing unbecoming or illegal is happening by way of the anti-discrimination ordinance. It is a thing we should have to be decent. And, well, I'm going to refrain from something I was going to say. I think that's probably all I've got. Please work on the best version of that ordinance, and let's please make Camp Hill a little more friendly to bicycles. And I know we've got a decent sidewalk network, but not just cars. Let's make it a little better. Thank you.
Is that everyone? You want to come up? Yeah. All right, come on up.
Bob Benora, 14 South 24th Street. I agree with Mark Hoover, who was the first speaker. Should not be decided by you guys. The sanctuary city decision should be a referendum put out to the Camp Hill, the members of the Camp Hill community to vote on. Things that should be considered, and I'm not as smart as these previous guys that were speaking, but I'm looking at the money end of it. Who's going to pay for the expanded police force? Who's going to pay for the expanding of the educational system, the medical system? All the stuff that we offer to illegal aliens. That has to be answered. And once again, I say referendum. Thank you.
Good evening. Jack Sellers, 312 North 17th Street. I just want to agree with several other comments. I'd like to see a referendum. I know you guys have done a lot of research, and I thank you, but I think you need to hear from the people. That's all.
Good evening, Elaine Fagan. I reside at 208 North 30th Street, and I'm coming into this meeting actually very uninformed. I was only recently made aware of these issues with this amendment and this discussion of ICE and all of this, and I was like, what? Why? This woman earlier said, you know, we need to be a welcoming community. I've lived in this community since 1998. I have never believed it to be unwelcoming. I have never seen our community discriminate. I have not seen our school district do ridiculous things that you see in the news. I question the council. What drove you to want to propose this? Do we have businesses that are breaking the law? Are our officers not being fair in how they're handling things. This seems to me like it's come out of the blue. And at a time when our country is so divided, I really, really question the sense of this council to bring such a decisive issue to a community that is not divided. That's what I don't understand. So I will be attending meetings and I will be coming to learn more, but I'm very, very surprised. A lot of people in this room may or may not know my backstory, but I have watched this community reach out and embrace those in need many times. And this is a recipe for disaster. And I really wish you could put it back in the box and let us move forward. I do not see this community turning away from treating an immigrant properly. I don't see we have businesses in this community discriminating against them. I don't see it. Maybe I'm naive, but I just question the practicality. I'm sitting here tonight, and I want to leave here angry at some of the people in this room for having opinions that I don't agree with. Why? Because you feel this is a good move? Very sad and disappointed in the council if they're bringing this to our community for no reason. Thank you.
Okay, if there are no more comments, I don't have any announcements to make, so if we could go to Sarah, give us the manager's report, please.
Good evening. We have been very excited to welcome Haley McCoy as our new office assistant. She's not here tonight, but I hope you'll stop by the office and meet her. She's supporting all of our office staff, primarily focusing on financial tasks, utility billing, and issuing lots of compost facility passes. It's a very popular activity in our office right now. We are still hoping to find a part-time paid employee who would coordinate council meeting tasks and minute preparation. If there's anyone who would like an easy way to get involved in local government, please get in touch. We were happy to host the Pennsylvania Municipal League for their regional lunch on March 12th. The officials from PML and neighboring municipalities enjoyed seeing the borough and commended us for our initiatives, particularly in the areas of sustainability and downtown development. I have been asked to serve on the program planning committee for the League's Municipal Leadership Summit in October. I also recently attended the Public Employer Labor Relations Advisory Service Conference, and it was an extensive conference focusing on current labor case law, bargaining strategies, employee policies, and many other legal topics related to personnel. There were more than 600 municipal staff, police chiefs, fire chiefs, and solicitors in attendance. And that's my report.
Thank you, Sarah. We'll now have the mayor's report. Mark?
All right, thank you. The police officers handled 915 calls for service in March, brings the yearly call total to 2,585. Our new officers are just about to be out on their own. They're still doing well. And just a reminder, two reminders actually, e-scooters are still not legal to be ridden in Campbell. So parents, please enforce that with your kids. And with nicer weather, obviously more people are out and about, walking, riding bikes, and kids playing. So motorists, please slow down and be alert. Fire department, 29 calls in March. Our training, our annual bloodborne pathogens refresher, hazardous materials annual refresher. We've been invited by our neighboring East Pennsboro Fire Department to use the former Gannett Fleming buildings, which are soon to be torn down. We've been invited to use those for training, and we did that this past Monday night, and we'll do it through the middle of May. And with spring cleanup, please remember that burning yard waste is prohibited. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Mike, engineers report.
Thank you. The first item that I have to report on is our curb ramp project. You'll recall from discussions in the last few months that we're looking to combine the 2025 and 2026 contracts. Our contractor from last year is about ready to get started here in a week or two, pending the addition of the 9 additional curb ramps to their contract. We received their pricing for those 9 ramps in the amount of $78,917.50. That is a little bit up from last year, but costs do tend to escalate over time, and it would still be a better price than any of the other bidders we got. So we don't think that it would be warranted to rebid the project. We would probably get a worse price anyway. So we would request approval of change order number 1 to the 2025 curb ramp project to include the 2026 ramps tonight in that amount I mentioned earlier, $78,917.50, conditioned upon approval by the grant agency. They've been looped in theory, but we need to send them the final documents for approval after, if it's approved tonight by council. The other item is just an update on the 2026 paving project, which is to say that that is currently out to bid. We will be opening bids on the 13th, discussing them with the Public Works Committee at their next meeting, and bringing those bids in to request approval in the May meeting. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much, Mike. Now it's time for the consent agenda. Could I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you. Anyone?
Second.
Kevin? Okay. Tom moved, Kevin seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. And we will now proceed with our reports of commissions and liaisons. Tim, could we start with public safety?
Sure. Public Safety met on Thursday, March 26th at 4:30. There are a number of topics, most of them continuing from previous meetings, the first of which was with regard to the e-scooters that the mayor just mentioned. Generally speaking, we have seen a decline in e-scooter usage. There were 26 informational tags. Informational tags are not enforcement. They are just pieces of information so that the children are aware of the status of the e-scooters that they're riding so that they can share with their parents. But overall, it looks like it's moving in the right direction, and we will continue to monitor. Next, we talked about the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Ordinance that is now in the hands of Planning and Zoning, and didn't get in a lot of detail about the specifics of a proposal, but more about the role that police should and should not play with regard to any proposed ordinance. And so the committee and members of the public shared their opinion of that, which we then shared with the Planning and Zoning. And the public, of course, is welcome to attend any of those meetings ongoing as those conversations proceed. Next, we talked about the Emergency Management Coordinator. We have 2 applicants, which I believe are up for vote tonight. Yep. So we thank them for their willingness to serve and look forward to that vote. And then lastly, in terms of new business, we talked about fire department. I'll talk about this a little bit more in detail and maybe in closing comments, but our municipality is facing a shortage of firemen, as are many, if not most, other municipalities. So we're starting to discuss what collaboration with other municipalities might look like. And I've asked Sarah to help facilitate a cross-municipality discussion to talk about what options could be for us to consider moving in that direction. That's my report. I do have a question, Chief. I was looking through the report for the Human Relations Commission. Looks like we had some swastika activity by the parks, and I just wanted to see if there's any update on that.
Well, there's been no solution to that in terms of identifying who did that, but I think there were a couple of dumpsters that had graffiti specifically on them, but there's been no success in identifying any culprits on that.
Thank you.
Are there any questions for Tim? Okay. Public Works is next. Louisa, do you have a report?
Okay, so Public Works has 2 action items. The second one, Mike already talked about. That's a change order to the curb ramp project. That's just to continue the 2025 curb ramp project and fold the 2026 curb ramp project into it. The other action item is a request from the Camp Hill Historical Society. They will be holding an event in the cemetery. It's planned for August the 22nd in the evening. It will be a walking tour, and we recommend granting the request. Otherwise, the street paving project is out to bid, and we are working. So we have received grant monies for sidewalk improvements in Lenox Street. That's a street close to Eisenhower School that has to be closed to traffic in the morning and the afternoon for the safety of the children. So we have grants to install sidewalks, so we don't need to close the street off anymore. So we are currently looking at a variety of layout options. Other than that, Rogel is replacing manhole covers in the paving area, and the Creek Road pump station construction is underway now that the weather has improved. And we appreciate if the public can stay out of the work site when there are barriers in Seabird Park. And also, we are working on, our planning and zoning is working on-lot sewage disposal ordinance, which Lester made some comments on, and so it went back to planning and zoning. That's all I have for Public Works. Questions?
Any questions for Louisa? Okay, thank you very much. Next, Kevin, Community and Business Relations, please.
Thanks. So we met on March 17th. We had a very long meeting, a couple hours long, and the report I'm going to give is a very short one considering the time that it took to get through the meeting. Some of this I'm going to leave to Tim to talk about during his DCHA liaison discussion later on in tonight's meeting. Following up on Sarah's mention about the Pennsylvania Municipal League, we had a representative from PML, Chris Luco, come and give a presentation to us about what they can offer our community. One of the things that he suggested at the end of his presentation was something that PML is working on is an increase in the local services tax. It's been at $52 for years, and they want to increase it. So we'll see where that goes. The majority of our meeting was taken up by a discussion about a Main Street America designation for a downtown. I mentioned this at the last council meeting. We've tasked Beth Taylor, who's our downtown coordinator, to figure out what we need to do to get there. So she will be working on that among her other duties for Sarah. It's complicated and complex because we also have an MOU with the Downtown Camp Hill Association. That MOU is going to expire in June. So we're trying to figure out if we want to, and the MOU is a yearly renewal. So are we going to renew it again for another year? Are we going to just keep it as it is and extend the existing MOU while we work through the Main Street America designation? So we'll see. We'll talk about this at our next meeting. One other thing, so we had talked about installing wayfinding signs throughout the borough, downtown borough, at our last council meeting. That's going to get put on hold until we get through our comprehensive plan and we come up with we have the design for them and the locations, but we want to figure out if we want to come up with a new design during our comprehensive plan. So that's on hold for now. The comprehensive plan is on hold as well until we figure out the funding status for it, which we're expecting soon, hopefully next couple weeks, fingers crossed. If you're in town this Saturday is a spring fling, so please come out and support your local businesses in downtown. And our next meeting is on April 21st at 4:30. Thanks.
Are there any questions for Kevin?
The wayfinding signs, this was started before I got elected to council, and we've been through numerous discussions and back and forths about the design and the location and the content, so why another delay?
So the locations are not going to change. The problem is the design is very old, and we're not sure if it's a design that we want to represent our community at this point. So we want it to come out during a comprehensive plan, what our community design should be. The design doesn't necessarily match what we have for the Camp Hill Borough now, so.
I think there was a discussion on coming up with branding.
Yeah,
So that
essentially.
we would have the same logo per plan.
You okay?
She's not okay, but she'll accept it, I think is what she's saying.
It's just saying, this has been going on for so long. I guess you want to do it right. Hopefully it will happen.
Well, the signs are not manufactured right now, so if we get through the comprehensive plan and we have a different design, we have a different brand for the community, then that's what we'll go with. So we're going to hold off and putting them together until we get through the comprehensive plan.
Okay. Thank you, Kevin and Louisa. And Tia, Parks and Rec.
Hello, neighbors. The Parks and Recreation Committee met on Monday, April 6th at 1 p.m. In your packet for consideration are the following action items. I know it is the time you have all been waiting for, the time that we approve the signs that will go in the borough parks. And while I might make light of it, I do love that we get to advertise really amazing community groups in our borough parks, including a request for the Cub Scouts to place temporary signs to promote the Boy Scout troop and pack, a request from Frederickson Library to place temporary signs regarding the blueberry sale this spring and summer, and then later their kitchen tour event this fall, and then a request from Camp Hill Women's Club to place temporary signs to advertise their April 25th bingo fundraiser. We also are asking council to consider acceptance of a grant from the Harry and Nancy Priest Foundation to use in Siebert Park in the amount of $1,456. This will be used towards new trees in the park, which is very exciting. We are also asking to consider the proclamation of National Library Week, which is April 19th to 25th. I might be biased because I am the library liaison, but some fun facts about National Library Week. This was first observed in 1958 because the American Library Association saw studies through the 1950s showing that Americans were spending less time reading and more time consuming television and radio. It was first proclaimed nationally by President Eisenhower, and he emphasized that free access to the printed word is essential to educational and cultural advancement. And while times may have changed, and it is not just the printed word that folks are accessing at their local libraries, the values that they bring to our communities is just immense. They are truly community hubs that provide free and equitable access to diverse resources, programs, education, and events. Our library in particular is so special. So we do ask that during National Library Week, residents are encouraged to visit their local library, explore their resources, and celebrate the way that our library makes our community special. Some notes from the Recreation Director's report. The Bunny Extravaganza was held on March 20th, and the children had a great time. Just a huge thank you to all of the volunteers that made this event happen. That was a mix of teen volunteers from the community, recreation commissioners. Of course, a big thank you to Audrey, who does an incredible job with all of our events. And additionally, we'd like to thank Cornerstone Coffee House, the Hershey Company, Giant, Weiss Market, and Walmart for their contributions towards the event. We're looking forward to doing another one in the future. Audrey is also organizing a Pick Up Sticks cleanup event on Earth Day, April 22nd, and Arbor Day, April 24th. This would be in Siebert Park. You guys have probably noticed it's been really windy, and if your yard is anything like mine, there's a lot of sticks and branches in it. Our park is just the same, so we're encouraging folks to come out, pick up the sticks, and take them to designated areas in the park. My 3-year-old is going to love it. Picking up sticks and putting them down is one of his favorite activities. So if you have someone in your life that also loves to pick up sticks and put them down, please come out to the park on those days and help us out. We are still accepting applications for the snack shack at the pool. We are asking that folks are ages 16 and up. The application is available on our website. Speaking of the pool memberships are available to purchase on our website. And please remember that if you have an existing online account, to use that. Don't sign up for a new account. It just creates a lot of work for Audrey on the back end. If you got locked out of your account for any reason, just call the recreation office. Talk to Audrey. She'll hook you up. Registration is also open for all of our spring and summer camp programming. The remaining summer camps, that is, because the Siebert Day camp is full. It sells out real quick. But there's lots of other great camps for you to check out. They're all on the website. Our Learn to Swim registration for June classes will open May 14th for pool members and May 15th for non-pool members. Additionally, some fun events coming up. Kite Festival is May 17th from 1 to 4 p.m. That will be held at Fiala Field. This is a free event for the community. There will be some refreshments for sale as well. And then our Memorial Day Parade ceremony and festivities will be held on May 25th, starting at 9:30 a.m. Registration to participate in the parade is due by May 1st. You can find the information on the website. And our box lunch reviews are set for this summer. This is an opportunity for the community to get together, eat lunch together. Sometimes there's music, sometimes there's fun stuff available. That happens most Fridays in the summertime. And again, info's on the website, broken record here. The committee will meet again Monday, May 4th at 1 p.m. And additionally, there is a Parks and Recreation Commission meeting Tuesday, April 14th at 7 p.m. And that's my report.
Such a busy.
So busy, but all fun stuff.
I know, you do have
all
the fun stuff. Speaking of fun stuff, Tom. Planning and zoning.
So-
What have you got for us?
So I'm sitting here wondering how I got stuck with planning and zoning.
Right?
And I had COVID when assignments were made. And then it seemed,
That's how.
okay,
That's
yeah,
exactly how.
exactly.
Thank
I
you
missed
for
the
that.
first assignment. Anyway, I'm going to do the easy stuff first, and then we'll get to the more controversial things, some of which are quite different than from the comments I've been hearing. So things are not happening like people think they're happening, but I'll get to that and explain what's going on. You'll note in your packet that Colton has provided a monthly report on code enforcement. In March, he inspected 44 residential units, responded to 174 calls and complaints, sent 306 emails, and issued 67 building zoning, dumpster, stormwater, sign, and shade tree permits. The Planning and Zoning Committee met March 20th. We had some public comments at the beginning of the meeting from residents who all expressed concern about the need to clarify the borough's potential relationship with ICE, which the committee continues to work on. A completed traffic calming policy resolution was reviewed, and it includes an updated flow diagram. It's in the packet, and we will vote on that tonight. A finalized version of the Duffy-Dixon-Bendrick easement and O&M agreement was reviewed and is offered tonight for council's vote to approve. This essentially involves some alleyway improvements in the area of high-end 17th Street. Note was made that the sustainability members of this committee are interested in having further review of the possibility of allowing EV chargers to be installed on the verge. The verge is that area between the sidewalk and the street. Currently is not allowed, but nothing is underway at present, but we're going to look at that with the rise of EVs and $4 to $5 a gallon gas and so on. It may be more relevant in the future. We did review the updated codification adoption ordinance, which is still being looked at. Was it given to the Planning Commission yet for review? Yes. Okay. And hopefully we'll be ready by May to vote on that. We approved sending an Arbor Day proclamation to council for approval tonight. And it's required to stay compliant with Tree City USA, which we want to do. Arbor Day is April 24th, Friday. Finally, the fun stuff. The committee did some additional work in consultation with our solicitor about a resolution and ordinance looking at the proper relationship between our police and ICE should they come into our area. The ordinance that we're talking about is not a welcoming ordinance. Please underline that. It's not a welcoming to illegal immigrants. Underline that. We are not trying to become a sanctuary city. Triple underline that. These are misconceptions that lead to some of the concerns that were voiced tonight. And I understand that. We listen to the community. But some of the reaction is not to what's going on here. I suspect that we triggered some issues that are going on at a higher level, nationally or whatever. We're just trying to clarify what should our police do if ICE comes to the community? What should be the response? How can we set up something that is consistent with constitutional principles, with legal principles that creates an environment where people feel safe and protected? So we're still working on that, and we're listening to what everybody has to say. It is not a welcoming ordinance, and that's getting people very angry when they think that, and then spread that among yourselves on Facebook or whatever. But we're listening to what you're saying. We're going to do something I think that's very reasonable. Along the way, I've been impressed with the rules and the commitment to the Constitution. I wanted to add this, that the police provide in their training. So the chief has given me some of those materials, and we have a police force that's committed to constitutional principles, and that's what we're trying to follow, and we're listening to everybody. Anyway, so maybe by next meeting we'll have something for people to look at. When we bring it, it will be proposed for advertisement. So that's when people can look at it, talk about it, et cetera. So we'll see where that goes. Finally, in a very, what we thought was a non-controversial action, on recommendations for the Borough's Human Relation Commission, we thought we would add 3 categories to the protected groups that could have discrimination carried out against them. Those groups are added to what we already have in our ordinance, and the current categories include, and I'm going to read these so everybody's familiar with them: actual or perceived race, color, sex, religion, ancestry, genetic information, national origin, sexual orientation, gender identity, familial status, marital status, age, veteran status, mental or physical disability, and need for and use of guide or support animals or mechanical aids. So that's already in the ordinance, and it has a history that goes back to the 50s and maybe earlier. What we're adding And I think these are non-controversial categories. Citizenship, which is an individual's legal status as lawful citizens of the United States by law, birth, or naturalization. So we're very consistent with my friend Paul Lewis had to say. The second one is English proficiency. I think rather non-controversial. And this involves an individual's ability to write, speak, read, and understand the English language. That shouldn't be the basis to turn somebody away for housing or whatever. And the third, which people do not understand, we use this trigger word, immigration, and everybody thinks we're talking about illegal immigrants or whatever. I mean, it's astounding, the misunderstanding that I've heard tonight. We're talking about legal status of people that are in this country on permanent or temporary status. And I researched that. There's a whole category, green card holders, et cetera. These are people who are here legally. And that's the category that we're referring to. We're not referring to what people call illegal residents. I hope that's clear. And I will try to get some eye contact here. People that were objecting, who commented earlier on, understand we're not, this is not involving giving jobs and benefits to illegal residents. We're just talking about people who are here, immigration status, legally. And we're happy to talk about this in the future if you ever want to do that, but I think this is very non-controversial. And I'm going to recommend that this committee vote to approve this for advertisement again. Any questions at this point? Okay.
Not a question, but I did just want to reiterate that, like, we are just putting this for a vote for advertisement. So what happens from here, just for the benefit of the community, because you're invested, and that's great. I love that we have so many invested folks, is that this will then be put together and advertised out there, so you have an opportunity to really look through exactly what that language is and have the opportunity to come to the next meeting and provide any feedback or input, or go to the committee meetings that are involved in drafting these things.
And we do appreciate your input, even if it wasn't quite, on target, but we understand the concerns that you will have. So the next meeting of Planning and Zoning is Friday, April 17th at 8:15, and that's my report. Thank you.
Okay, so immigration status, that includes permanent residents and people on a visa. There's a whole alphabet soup of visas. And if anybody wants to know what it involves to come into this country legally, they can ask me. I can tell them the whole story, how much it costs and how many years it takes and how many hoops you have to jump through. So that's what we are talking about. English language proficiency. We are also talking about that somebody like me who speaks English with an accent should not be discriminated against, that I should not be told, no, you cannot have this job, no, you cannot sit on council, no, you cannot rent this apartment because your pronunciation is slightly different from us. That's what this anti-discrimination ordinance is about. Thank you.
And we're a nation of immigrants. We all came from some other place. I don't see any Native Americans here. But there is a way to do it, and again, we're affirming legal immigration. And it seems pretty, non-controversial. It's just pretty straightforward.
So
thank you.
I'm going to add that the Human Relations Commission came about after the state of Pennsylvania enacted the PA Human Relations Act, and it's number 222. It was done in 1955, and it prohibited practices of discrimination by employers, housing, and public accommodation. And then because of that, they enacted local human relations commissions. So we passed an ordinance in 2017 where we agree with the Human Relations Act. We developed our own, a requirement is to have our own Human Relations Commission, which we have and have had for the past, 9 years, is it? Can I add? 2017 to, anyway, so they've been around forever, and we've had some awesome residents being a part of it, and this was suggested by them to have it be added, the language being added because of, well, it's one of those things we do, right? You update things as they, right, as things go on. So anyway, it comes from the state, and we adopted it as well.
And just a brief comment, as a proud former member of the Human Relations Commission, one of the speakers tonight is actually the current chair of that commission. It's public knowledge.
So, does anyone else have any questions for Tom? All right, Rich, admin and finance is all yours.
All right. Mine should be a little bit shorter, though we do have a couple of things for consideration by council tonight. Admin and finance met on the 23rd at 1 p.m., sorry, March 23rd. Per our finance director, our annual audit is completed. We discussed the Hampden Township sewer surcharge in great detail. Got a lot of background information to help solidify our understanding of the origins of it and what we might be able to do to resolve it going forward. As a result of that, I was tasked with reaching out to Hampden's commissioners. We actually have had some preliminary talks at this point, with more to follow. Hoping we can get an amicable resolution to that. After that, we discussed our volunteer position openings for the Emergency Management Coordinator and Deputy Emergency Management Coordinator. Tia and I both recommended Matt Sinopoli as the Emergency Management Coordinator, along with Andrew Forbes for the Deputy. We'll be voting on them tonight. And beyond that, we also discussed nominating Kevin Mock as our voting delegate for the Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs. He's taken a great interest in it, and it seems like he'd be a great addition to the team there. And lastly, we discussed periodic review of some of our boroughs agreements, just to compile a list of the agreements that we have here as a borough with different organizations or services, just for our knowledge and to review them and see if there's any improvements that might be able to be made. Staff is going to compile a list we'll review at one of our upcoming meetings, and that's it. Our next meeting is on April 27th at 1 p.m., and we rescheduled our May meeting for May 29th since it originally fell on Labor Day, or Memorial Day.
Memorial Day, right.
And that's all. Any questions?
Any questions for Rich? Okay, thank you very much, Rich. And we will move to liaisons, Borough School District Liaison, Tim.
We did not meet this past month, and I don't have the meeting date for the next meeting, the 22nd
This month.
of April.
Yeah.
Super. And that will be at 6 p.m. in the District Administration Building.
Thank you. Stormwater Authority, Louisa.
I'm also happy to report that we did not meet. So I don't need to make a report. So normally the Stormwater Authority meets on the day before council, but this is one of those months where it doesn't. So the Stormwater Authority is meeting next Tuesday, the 14th at 8 a.m. and I encourage everyone to attend. It's interesting and fun.
All right, thank you. You get a little bit of a break. Alex, would you like to tell us about the school?
I'd love to. So, a couple fun announcements. The High School Musical Chicago opens this weekend, and that should be a really good show. It's both the musical and the band will be in the pit for that, so that's really exciting. Peter Pan Jr., which will be the middle school show this year, is looking for crew members, anyone to volunteer who wants to get involved. The Camp Hill boys tennis team is undefeated on the season, and Camp Hill's junior senior prom will be held April 25th at the West Shore Country Club.
Thank you. Where am I at? Sustainability with Tom.
All right, a little more non-controversial. The committee met March 12th, 2026. We heard from a resident who had issues with installing an EV charger in the Verge. Mentioned that issue earlier. The committee again discussed the possibility of looking at the current ordinance and maybe changing that in the future in view of the rise of EVs. And we will do that at some point in time, talk about it anyway. Again, the possibility of hiring a sustainability coordinator was brought up by the committee. Recognizing the fiscal issues involved in hiring somebody, we kicked that around. The committee is looking at how other communities hire and use sustainability persons. And we talked about ways to maybe perhaps get a grant to pay the salary, or maybe there's a way that this person could save money for the borough or for the residents. So that's still being talked about. The committee chair, a new committee chair, is proposing a new organizational structure with accountability, and that's moving ahead very nicely. Goals of expanded solar installation on borough buildings or even our schools was kicked about, as well as looking at converting our street lighting to more efficient LEDs. The committee continues to monitor the progress of the community choice aggregation plan that might offer possible buy-in for residents to purchase cheaper energy, but we'll let you all know where that's just being kicked along at the state level. But we'll see where that ends up. And again, the committee is looking for volunteers to take part in what I think is a very interesting committee. So if anyone is interested, let myself or Sarah or even Tim Hawkins, who's the chair, know of your interest. It's a once a month meeting where you get to talk about the issues and look at ways to save money in energy for community residents. The next meeting is tomorrow, April 9th at 1 p.m. So if anyone is interested, please attend. And that's my report.
Any questions for Tom? Then we'll just move along to the Downtown Camp Hill Association. Tim is our liaison.
DCHA. So first and foremost, Kevin mentioned on Saturday, April the 11th, there's Spring Fling. So that is important for the season to get started with that event. The association really talked about a number of things, and the first and probably the topic that took most of the time is just about engagement. And they acknowledged that throughout the years, while they have engaged prior council, the same is not necessarily true about present council. And so we discussed not only council and committee attendance, but also the request, Kevin, for them to spend some of their time perhaps in the May meeting to carve out some time to talk about their mission, their role, their foundation, how they got started, what they're looking to do. Because I think a lot of the time, because I'm involved in CBR and then with DCHA, there's words thrown around or acronyms like MOUs and LERTA and all of these things that I think we get in bits and pieces, but I think when you put it together and they explain where they were, which in the beginning was the foundation, the evolution of their bylaws and how they got started and how they interact compared to other DCHAs and the opportunity that Camp Hill Borough has. And then now they see themselves as phase 2 of building on that foundation of things like parking stalls that Tom is involved with, parking minimums, which I know Kevin loves to talk about. But we do hear them in pieces, and I think when you understand what the goals and objectives and those milestones, what they build to be, I think it'll be a pretty good conversation. And again, they ask for some time next council meeting. Thank you.
Next, we have Tia with the Frederickson Library.
I don't know if you guys have heard, it is breaking news, but National Library Week is coming up. And I would encourage you to check out the library website and their events calendar and consider supporting your local library through the following fundraising efforts. So Frederickson Library has kicked off their capital campaign called Turning the Page to a Brighter Tomorrow. They are aiming to fundraise $1 million to address critical building repairs and improvements. There's boilers that need replaced, there's some infrastructure stuff, there's lots. They have a whole list for you to check out of all the improvements that need to be done. And our library is a really special place that needs our help. So there's more information on the campaign and a link to donate on the Frederickson Library and Cumberland County Library website. Another fundraiser option, if maybe just the donation is not up your alley, Blueberries for Books is here. So you can purchase 10-pound boxes of fresh Wayland Farms blueberries for $37, and you might be asking yourself, what will I do with 10 pounds of blueberries? Because that feels like a lot. But don't worry, the library has put together an incredible Pinterest page with over 150 blueberry recipes. Or you can send me a note, and I have a really good recipe for some lemon blueberry cupcakes. And if you would like to eat those and use up your 10 pounds of blueberries that way, you can. Also, fun fact, blueberries can last up to 2 years frozen. So you should consider buying 10-pound boxes. You can even buy more. There's no limit.
That's right.
You could buy hundreds of pounds of blueberries to help. I don't know what $1 million divided by 10 is, but we could hit that goal fast. Also, if maybe blueberries are not what you are in the market for, the Friends of Frederickson is having their semi-annual book and media sale April 16th to 19th. You can shop a large assortment of books, media, games, and puzzles, all proceeds benefiting the library. I forgot to mention, you don't have to rush to get your blueberries. They are on sale from now until July 7th, so you'll have to really bide your time. Think about exactly how many 10-pound batches of blueberries you want to purchase.
Is there a limit? Is there a limit on the amount of blueberries?
I don't think so.
We'll have to find out.
We'll have to
See
find
if you
out.
can just
I think you should test it. Just go on,
See
just
how many we
buy as
can
many as you possibly can.
And blueberries have anti-cancer actions.
They do. They are antioxidant chock full.
They're very tasty, too.
Super tasty. Over 150 different recipes, apparently, that have been collated. So go check it out. That's my report.
Any questions for Tia? Okay.
Not a question, but
a
I
recipe.
will order my blueberries, and I can share my blueberry pie recipe with anybody who wants
All right,
it.
that's 2 recipes.
But I warn you all, my freezer still has bags and bags of blueberries, 2025, 2024.
No, we don't tell them that. Hold on, but that's for 2 years. But for game night, you can make some blueberry snacks, and we'll all.
Oh, now you are putting me under pressure.
I am. All right.
Okay, go and get your blueberries.
So, yes, everybody get blueberries. CapCog did not meet. They postponed because of the weather. So we'll try again next week. And with that, we have reached our second period of public comment. If anyone would like to come on up and state their name, and you will be limited to 3 minutes.
Beth Nonamaker, 235 North 19th Street. And regarding the anti-discrimination ordinance, we're all equal under the law. And so from my point of view, we should be treating everyone with respect and dignity, and there's no need for adding additional categories to the ordinance. Thank you.
Thanks.
Phil Vollmer, 2935 Lincoln Street. I don't know whether this is controversial or not, but I think you ought to do it. Advertise for this, for the additional categories for the Human Rights Commission. And, you know, if there's any group that needs protection, it's immigrants, legal immigrants. Thank you.
If there are no further comments, then we are, hold on. All right. We're moving on to our action items. If you guys are ready for that. Do I have a motion and a second to approve the special event permit for the Camp Hill Historical Society at the Camp Hill Cemetery on August 22nd?
So moved. Second.
Okay, Louisa moves, Tia seconds. Is there any discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it passes unanimously. Do I have a motion and a second to approve change order number 1 to the 2025 curb ramp project to increase the project cost by $78,917.50, conditioned upon HRG's review of the unit prices and the final approval by the grant agency?
So moved.
Okay, Louisa moves, Kevin seconds. Is there any discussion?
Just a question. I read it. Can you just explain a little bit why there's the change in the project?
In short, because the project's getting larger. We had a package of curb ramps in 2025 that we intended to build. We bid it, as we do for all of our public works projects. The lowest bidder was unable to produce the bonds and insurance, so we had to move to our second lowest bidder, but the delay in doing so pushed us into 2026. In the meantime, we got another round of funding for 2026 curb ramps. And we realized that because these are relatively small projects for public works projects, and because we got very good prices from this contractor last year, it might be the most advantageous to just expand their contract instead of bringing in another contractor. And then, too, they wouldn't be getting in each other's way and in the way of the paving contract, which is in the same area later in the summer. So simplifies a lot of things, saves money, and saves time.
All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Do I have a motion and a second to approve the placement of temporary signs in public parks by Cub Scout Troop 51?
So moved.
Thank you, Rich.
Second.
Taking Tom because he's next to me. Rich moves, Tom seconds, and is there any discussion? None? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Do I have a motion and a second to approve the placement of temporary signs in public parks by the Frederickson Library?
So moved.
Thank you, Tia. Tia moves, Louisa seconds. Is there any discussion?
Are we going to have any room left in the park after we put all these signs up?
They do come down. They do come down. They are only temporary, as you might see on your packet there.
I just have a suggestion for like the next time, if we could put all the placement of signs into one motion.
I don't know if we can we do that?
I mean, you can. I think that when you look at the locations, there might be different considerations for each location or type of sign. I mean, I think you would want to take that on a case-by-case basis. I mean, if they're all similar types of signs in the same place, maybe. So I think we can look at that case-by-case going forward.
And it could be just sign season, like now it's like, yay.
So just to follow up to that, so we have three motions here.
are they signs all going up at the same time at the same location?
No, some are going up in similar locations around the same time, but like the library, for example, the blueberry signs are for blueberry sale. That will then come down, and then they have signs for the kitchen tour. So they do like rotate. We also, like I brought this up with Audrey in our last committee meeting, of do we ever feel like there's too many signs? That hasn't come across yet. Like we haven't had concerns around like too much causing issues.
Yeah, and we pretty much approve the same signs every year for the same things, so. So that's the end of that discussion. Is everyone in favor of signs for the library? I'm lost on which signs we're doing.
Aye.
Thanks. Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Do I have a motion and a second to approve the placement of temporary signs in public parks by the Camp Hill Women's Club?
So moved.
Second.
Tia moves, Tom seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that also passes unanimously. Do I have a motion and a second to accept the grant in the amount of $1,456 from the Harry and Nancy Price Foundation for use in Seabrook Park? Thank you, Rich. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Tim. Okay, Rich moves, Tim seconds. Is there any discussion?
Question for Tia. Maybe you mentioned it and might have drifted. Do we know what we're gonna get for it?
Trees.
Trees.
Which is so fitting because we are going to make an Arbor Day proclamation down this list as long as we all vote for it.
How many trees can we get?
I don't know.
However many. right?
However, I'm hoping it's trees plural.
Right, I was thinking, like, who does make this decision? Anyway, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, this also carries. Do I have a motion and a second to approve the proclamation of National Library Week from April 19th to April 25th?
You know I'm so moved.
Thank you, Tia.
Second.
Okay, Tia moves, Kevin seconds. Is there any discussion? Everyone in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. That motion passes. Do I have a motion and a second to approve an easement and operations and maintenance agreement with property owners on High Street and North 17th Street, contingent upon the solicitor's review?
So moved.
Thanks, Louisa. Okay, Tom moves, Louisa seconds. Is there any discussion? Everyone in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Okay, that motion carries. Do I have a motion and a second to approve resolution number 2026-1 to provide a process for requests for traffic calming devices?
So moved.
All right, Tom moves, Rich seconds. Is there any discussion?
Just a comment that it offers a real nice procedure now for our residents to request and for some kind of intervention to be reviewed and implemented.
Yeah,
So
I
I like
think
it.
the flow chart is very nice too.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Just wanted to mention that it's very nice. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. And moving on, do I have a motion and a second to advertise an ordinance amending the anti-discrimination ordinance number 2017-06?
So moved.
All right, Tom moves, Rich seconds. Is there any discussion? Okay, everyone in favor?
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Okay, that passes. Do I have a motion and a second to approve the proclamation of Arbor Day on April 24th? Okay, Rich moves, Louisa seconds. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Did we ever mention the tree planting at the school? Yeah, so for Arbor Day, is it the sustainability that's having the? Oh, Shade Tree Commission is having a tree planting at yeah, but what's the area in the high school, in the courtyard at the high school can you just tell me when it is?
The Shade Tree Commission is hosting a tree planting event on April 25th in recognition of Arbor Day. All the tree commissioners will be out at the high school courtyard at 9 o'clock a.m. planting a tree, and they invite the public to join them.
It's
They've
in that
been
courtyard?
In the courtyard. They've been in coordination with the school. So this is all them.
Does anyone need to bring a shovel?
I believe they are doing the work, if
You're
I'm
doing-
not
okay.
mistaken. I think Mr. Bauman is taking the lead on the planting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, but it should be really cool. Okay. Do I have a motion and a second to appoint Kevin Mock as the voting delegate to the Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs Annual Conference?
So moved.
Tom moves, Louisa seconds. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Do I have a motion and a second to appoint Matt Sinopoli to the volunteer position of Emergency Management Coordinator and Andrew Forbes to the volunteer position of Deputy Emergency Management Coordinator, contingent upon the completion of required training?
So moved.
Okay. Tia moves, Rich seconds. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And then for the record, I have abstained from this vote due to a personal relationship with one of the appointees. We won't say which one. So the vote is, you never know. The vote is 6 in favor with 1 abstention, and the motion carries. And thank you both, Matt and Andrew, for taking on these important positions. So we have reached our third period of public comment. If anyone else would like to make a comment, if you want to make a second comment, come on up. I know, right? Okay. So we will end closing remarks for the council, and we'll start with Alex.
As always, there's a lot to get involved with at the school, so I implore all of you to get involved, stay involved, go to a sporting event, go to a play. There's a lot to see and do, and the kids work really hard for everything they do, so.
So can I ask really quick, like if we went to the website, do you think that they have things on there that maybe they need help with, that like people that aren't or don't have family in the school district could?
Yeah, so the district website offers a lot of this information. I mean, it's kind of hard to navigate, but if you know what you're looking for and you're looking for ways to get involved, if you know like the department you're looking for, or even reaching out to the school, I know that our 2 people who work in the administration at the in like the high school office are willing to answer the phone, answer any questions you may have about getting involved. So definitely ask them, go to the website, look through the district calendar. The district calendar is built on hot links, so you can click through all of that, and it'll give you all the information for different things. So if you're looking for it, it's there.
Okay, great. Thank you.
For the second year, I had the opportunity to participate in Leadership Harrisburg's elected officials speaker series. And if you are not familiar with Leadership Harrisburg, it's a pretty dynamic annual, I'll call it, class. And so basically there's a Leadership Cumberland as well as other counties. And essentially for Leadership Harrisburg, there's about 50 members for each of the classes. And this year, including myself, there was Commissioner Douglas, Commissioner Hartwick, Danielle Hill from City of Harrisburg, and several others. And we talked a little bit about what's going on in each of our municipalities, what we're working on, the initiatives. And what's good about Leadership Harrisburg is that even though it's Harrisburg, a lot of the participants are from the region, and some of the folks here that are residents for Camp Hill were also participants in this session. So they got to hear a little bit more in detail on what we're doing, just from a highlighted standpoint. So it's always good so they understand if they're not able to make it here in this unique environment, they're able to then know a little bit what's going on. And I did meet your colleague. He was there. He introduced himself, so that was nice.
I just wanted to extend a lot of gratitude to Matt Sinopoli and Andrew Forbes, who are both here this evening, for stepping up and volunteering for the Emergency Management Coordinator and Deputy Emergency Management Coordinator positions. This is a really important role to our community. We want to be prepared for emergencies. We want people that can help liaison to our police, to our firefighters, and any other emergency responders. And this was a bit of a tough one to fill, as are many of our volunteer positions, to be honest. We can sometimes struggle to find folks that are willing to stand up and do that. So thank you for being willing. And then if you have not considered volunteering for a position in your community, there is information on our website on how to do that. There's lots of different commissions, there's committees, there's lots of C types of groups that you can join. So if you have any questions, head to the website or pop over and ask one of us.
So I've talked a lot about what goes on in the Community and Business Relations Committee, and we've talked a lot about in the past couple of months about becoming a Main Street America. So if you're not aware, Main Street America is a program that's coordinated by the National Historic Trust for Preservation at the national level. And then we also have a coordinating committee at the state level through the PA Downtown. If you're not aware, so Beth Taylor is our downtown coordinator. She's a part-time employee with the borough. She splits half of her time with the Downtown Camp Hill Association and half of her time with the borough. Over the past couple of months with the Main Street America and a lot of the other things that we've talked about in CBR, we put a lot on her plate. And it's amazing how much work she's been able to do in those couple months. And going forward, looking into the Main Street America designation, she's put in a lot of work just going through training. So I really appreciate it. Thanks, Beth.
Okay, we heard a lot of public comment today about items that were not on the agenda. So I would encourage those of you that feel strongly about these topics to attend the next Planning and Zoning meeting, which is on Friday, April 17th at 8:15 a.m. And then the public safety meeting is on Thursday, the 23rd at 4:30 p.m. Thank you.
I didn't really mean to complain about being the committee person for planning and zoning. I really appreciate the opportunity to serve the community. We do listen to everybody, and as Charles pointed out, sometimes when you sit down and talk calmly without being triggered, because these issues at a higher level are quite, produce a lot of bit of reaction emotionally. When you talk to your neighbors, turns out that we agree on a heck of a lot of things. And we're just trying to make our community safe and functional and so on. So that's my last comment. Thank you.
Well, Tia stole my thunder, but I just wanted to congratulate Matt and Andrew on their appointments. And if you don't mind, stand up, guys. So these are our new emergency management, deputy emergency management coordinators. If you don't mind, take a moment and thank them for their service.
Okay, I would like to thank everyone again for coming and making comments, staying engaged, and if this ends up where the time in the meeting doesn't work out right, our emails are all online, our committees, times and things are all on there, but you can reach any of us at any time. We may not respond right away because we're sleeping, but really, we do like to hear from everyone, and I don't think that any of us expect to agree with everyone all the time, but we do all have everyone's best interests, the borough's best interests, and you guys are a part of that, and I really enjoy hearing from you. So, if there's no other, we're all done? Everybody? We're adjourned. Is it 10 p.m.? That was an hour and a half. We did, it's 8:30. I figured it was 10 p.m. I felt like it was gonna be. Oh, my